It says some of my destinations have errors, but it will not tell me which ones. Let's see which ones it is. It is, Twitch, but whatever. Still live.
Of course it's giving us.
Of course. That's fine. I didn't want Twitch anyway. Screw it. So
It's on you, Twitch.
screw you, Twitch. I don't care. Oh my gosh. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Devil Made Me Do It podcast. I'm your host, Joe.
And Dizzy.
This morning we have, this one was kind of a little for me because it involves children and nothing but children.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there are plenty of cases out there about children, just, child killers. But it just hurts my heart. And especially it just being all children, because it's like, I can't imagine kids doing this.
And think about what the parents were going through. But then again, reading some of the backstory, his parents weren't the greatest.
Right.
Stepdad wasn't.
Yeah, and we'll get into that soon. But
yes, we will.
Yeah, but this morning we are talking about kids who kill, and we're talking about the Eric Smith case that happened back in 1993 in New York. And this morning is a dizzy doozy. So this is going to be a dizzy case this morning. So I'll let you handle this one this morning, and I will just be a passenger in this show.
All righty. So to get started, of course, you already mentioned that the case is the Eric Smith case. It happened in a small town in upstate New York. Savonia, I believe is how it's pronounced. I'm not the greatest at that. Forgive me.
And we're not from there. So, I mean, exactly. And even some people from those places don't even know how to pronounce where they're from properly. So,
yeah. But that morning of, where did I put the date? August 2nd of 1993, Derek Roby, there we go. Derek Roby, was leaving to go to his summer camp, which was literally 100 yards from his front door. His mom watched him skip off the driveway and was on his way. He never made it to camp that day. Along the way, he ran into Eric Smith. Eric Smith was a very troubled child. He was bullied. He had red hair, glasses, freckles. So, of course, a lot of kids picked on him for that. Eric also had some, I guess you would say, birth defects. Mm-hmm. His ears kind of curled inward due to something else that we'll get into a little bit later. But that was a prime target for him to be bullied.
Right.
He was very, very bullied. His sister, however, said that there was a time where they were never together, or they were always together. Yet everybody said Eric was by himself a lot. He was riding his bike alone, didn't have many friends. So Derek runs into Eric. And he goes missing. Nobody knows where he went after that. Nobody really saw him meet up with Eric. However, Eric ends up killing him. And I don't mean just killing him. He tortured that poor little 4-year-old boy.
Yeah. Oh, man, this is rough.
This is the hard part. Because before dark that evening, Eric Smith had left Derek's body to where it could be found. It was found shortly after, because I believe they said early afternoon, the call came in for him being missing, Derek.
He was only missing for like a couple of hours, wasn't he?
A couple of hours, yeah. It came in at like noon, and then by 4 or 5, they found his body that evening. Mm-hmm. The little boy, of course, his Amber Alert went out. Young boy, white t-shirt, lunch bag, going to summer camp was most of his description that they gave. And it wasn't just that Eric had left Derek's body. He actually displayed his body as well. He left it out on display. Eric himself had admitted to the crime. It took a few days. The investigation was actually using him as a witness at first and had no clue that he was the actual perpetrator of the crime.
Mm-hmm.
He had said he had seen Derek, and the officers took him back out to near the crime scene and asked him to take him play by play where he saw him, what he saw him doing. He was a lot of the detectives said he was real eager to help, real like into it, more into it than some of them thought he should have been. He said he had seen certain things that Derek was doing, and once they took him to the crime scene, he wasn't able to see those things from that distance. There was just no way.
Yeah, like his
Not
lunchbox,
only,
wasn't it? Like, wasn't
yes,
he able to like tell him like details on a lunchbox? And
details
they're
on
like,
the
how the hell did you
lunchbox.
know what was on the lunchbox from this distance, kid?
Yeah, he knew what was in the lunchbox. He changed his story up. That's what really got him going. Because at first he said he didn't see him. He didn't see him. And then when they were doing that, he messed up and said, yeah, I saw him over there. And that kind of ruined it for him, because he then, for some reason, shortly after that, he just looked at his mama and said, Mama, I'm sorry. I killed the little boy. But I hate talking about it, but Derek's little body was, like I said, tortured beyond belief. He had big, large rocks dropped on his head and his body. But to start it off with, this is directly from Eric himself. He said he lured him from the open fields over into the woods, strangled him. Once he got him immobilized, he put him down and smashed him with the rocks. Well, the rocks weren't doing the job for him, so he then proceeds to grab a stick. The stick he tries to penetrate through Derek's body, but being that it's a stick, it wasn't very sharp, I'm assuming.
Oh, man.
So when it wasn't penetrating his skin.
Trigger warning, guys.
Yes, very, very big warning coming up. Eric then decided that he wanted to stab Derek in the heart. Since he couldn't penetrate through his rib cage, I don't know why a 13-year-old boy would think that going through somebody's anus will get to their heart. Still boggles my mind. But he then sodomizes poor little Derek.
Oh my God.
With said stick. Let's see. Oh, and then once he was done with that part of it, of course, he proceeds to go through Derek's lunch bag. His lunch was splayed out. I think he had taken a bite of the sandwich. There was a banana in there, and it wasn't just thrown out banana. It was smashed and just nasty and thrown off to the side. Like a little kid that doesn't like bananas just mashed it all to snot. Whereas an adult, if they didn't like something, they would have just thrown it off. So that was one of the clues that kind of got the detectives thinking this might be a child that did this. But then he grabs little Derek's water bottle, but it had red Kool-Aid in it.
Mm-hmm.
And the wounds that were made by the rocks and what he was trying to do with the sticks, he poured that red Kool-Aid all over that little boy's wounds.
Yeah, that was weird. I wonder why he did, like, out of all the things, like, that was kind of really, really weird. Like, why would you pour Kool-Aid in all of his wounds? Like, that was just really bizarre.
For me, I don't know. I wasn't there. But knowing that it was summertime,
mm-hmm.
It's sugary, it's sticky. I'm thinking bugs. They wanted him. I don't know if he was trying to get bugs to him or what, but that's just something that popped into my mind. Like,
okay,
was he trying to do that, or was he just playing? Which is kind of the sick and twisted part about it. But like I said, Derek was very badly murdered.
Yeah, it's just a warning to you, or not a warning to you guys. It's just a heads up. Dizzy is a mom, and I've been a
I
stepmother,
am.
so we very much care for little kids, and this is just kind of a rough one to talk about. So
It really is. Because, again, the little boy, or little Derek, was only 4 years old. And Eric, even though he was 13, he was only in the 5th grade.
yeah, that's what I was like. What the hell? Like, he was
Yes,
really
he was
mentally
he was
delayed.
mentally delayed, and I'm gonna get into that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I might as well get into some of that now. I'm gonna start talking about Eric's mom.
Okay.
Um, she asked him, why? Why did you do this? He said, I don't know. And he cried obsessively. Um, his stepdad had abused him and was his sister later came out. The one that I told you said was always with Eric all the time, but
Mhm.
she never really was.
Okay.
It came out during some of his trial, I believe, that her stepfather had molested her.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So while he's being aggressive and physical and violent with Derek, I'm sorry, Eric. It's very confusing with
Yeah,
their names
Derek,
being
Eric, they
so
kind of
close.
sound the same. Yeah.
Yeah, with Eric, he was very aggressive with him. He even, when he was on the stand, his stepdad testified to actually being very aggressive with them, spankings, this, that, and the other. Um, he admit to putting his hands on him and all that good stuff, but that doesn't really excuse the torture that he did to poor little Derek.
Yeah, because a lot of us got our ass whooped as kids, like
Uh,
with
Hello.
objects.
Yes,
We all lived in the 80s. I mean, I'm not excusing this, but we all lived in the
but
80s, and that was a
that
common thing to get your ass whooped with things or hands. So,
our our parents' generation was like the last of the hard asses, if you will, for a
yeah.
lack of a better term.
And I know we've all had that urge to go, oh my God, I got a wooden spoon in my hand, and oh, I just want to whoop you right in the leg with this shit. But we don't
Oh,
do that because they're not nice.
no. No, they're not. And I changed that aspect of my life because I grew up, I'm not going to say it was perfect because it wasn't. But I grew up where we got spankings or
Mm-hmm.
whooped. I changed that cycle. I
Yeah,
think
there is a difference between spanking and whooped. There is a definite difference.
exactly.
If you've lived through that, you know the difference.
Yes. Um, my son, 16 years old, I think the last time I patted his behind with a diaper on
Right.
was like 3. And I felt so bad afterwards because I clipped his little side cheek and I thought I was the worst mother. I felt so bad afterwards. I said, I'm never doing this again. And I apologized to him. And so I'm
Oh.
glad I broke that cycle. But his stepdad, when he was testifying, was saying that there was a time when Eric reached out to him and said, I'm angry. I'm angry and I don't know why. Well, him being a macho man guy that he was, abuser, he's like, well, when I was a teenager, I had a rough time. So what did I do? I went outside and punched on our heavy bag. He tells him this. A few minutes later, they didn't give an exact time frame on that. I think he was just reminiscing while he was on stand. But
Mm-hmm.
he said that Eric had left the house and was gone for like 5-10 minutes. He came back in and his knuckles were all bloodied
Oh, wow.
and scratched up. He goes, what would you do? He said, I went outside and punched a tree.
Oh, shit.
Now, Eric was very prone to throwing temper tantrums at
Mm-hmm.
13 years old, showing his mental capacity
Right.
for some.
And he liked to hang out with like the younger kids, didn't he? Like the little
Yes,
kids, like not kids his age.
not at all, because the kids his age were bullies to him.
Yeah.
Not saying that that's right but at the same time, a lot of us also dealt with bullies in school.
Yeah.
Hello. Um, but it's all about how you let them affect you. That's the way I see it. But with Eric, he did he would bang his head on the floor during these temper tantrums, like full on banging his head. So his stepdad always knew that there was anger there. So did his mother. Now comes his trial, and they try to argue that because of his mother having, was it epilepsy?
Yeah. She was
Yeah,
taking like a
okay.
medication or
She
something.
was taking a medication, and again, I suck at pronouncing this stuff,
It's
but I
okay
wrote
because
it
I take a lot of medications and I can't pronounce half of them either. So I'm just like, this one for this and this one for that. I know what they're for.
exactly. Where did I put the medication? There it is. Triadone, I believe is how you pronounce it.
Okay.
Tridione. It's also the picture that I posted for clue number 4 this week.
Oh, okay.
That was the specific medication she was giving while pregnant for her. I couldn't remember if it was epilepsy or there's another one that's similar to
It was for
epilepsy.
seizures, basically.
Seizures, there you
Yeah.
go. I wasn't sure if it was just the seizure part or if she was actually epileptic. It wasn't
They're
really.
basically the same thing.
Oh,
Just
okay, I wasn't
yeah.
sure. That's my knowledge coming through, uneducated knowledge.
No, it's cool because I actually I take a lot of seizure medications because
Mhm.
they use them for other things. I take one that is used for anxiety and ADHD,
Uh-huh.
and it even says if you're like, because I always read the medications I'm taking before I take them because I don't know if that's what I want to put in my body necessarily.
Exactly.
And the one that I do take for the ADHD and anxiety is like I said, it's a seizure medication, and it says that if you're pregnant while you're taking this, it can cause your child to have ADHD.
Oh,
Isn't
wow.
that a fucking trip? It's like, dude, this is to
That's
treat this
crazy.
shit, but
You're
it can
supposed to
cause
be
it.
treating me, but you're going to cause my child to have to be
Yeah,
treated for it too. That's
exactly.
crazy.
It's like, I think it's kind of like a pharmaceutical little trick there that they use to keep people in the system of having to take meds. I don't know. That's just my theory.
Hey, we can go on and on about that because
Right?
we're right along there with you. But so as the trial continues, they try to say that yes, Eric is a troubled child,
Mm-hmm.
with his past. Now, I did tell you that his sister had claimed that she was molested by the stepfather.
Mm-hmm.
However, she hopes it didn't happen to her brother, but she thinks it may have happened. Eric has gone back and forth with, yes, I've had a bad past, but he's never officially said that, yes, I was molested. He's denied it, but he's not come out
Interesting. Maybe it
and
didn't happen to him. Maybe he was just
and
interested in
it
the
might
wrong
not have,
cause.
but he could have been the abusive side and the daughter was the sexual side for the
Right.
stepdad. Could happen.
Yeah.
But he was what was it? Okay, his mental rage disorder is what they called it when they were trying to notify the courts of the tretinoin birth defects that he had.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, his ears were a big telltale sign of that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cold hearted, but at the same time, with what he did, I don't feel bad for what this man said. I believe it was one of the officers or doctors on the stand actually said, okay, that explains his ears. What else?
Yeah.
So, I watched a couple of different little documentaries because this case is still an ongoing case due to the fact that Eric is trying to get parole. He was sentenced 9 years to life back in 94, I think is when he was actually sentenced.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he Here it goes. All right.
What got
I'm
me, and
just
this
trying
is
to
just
think.
this kind of like I guess maybe supplements some of the mental disorder they diagnose him with. You called it one thing, but I know it as another. The intermittent explosive disorder.
Okay, see, they of course I
They
was
have different
watching.
names for
They
stuff.
have
Just like bipolar used to be manic depressive disorder, so it's
present
kind of they make
exactly
different names for stuff. It changes over time,
as
or
they learn more about
yeah,
what is actually involved with it.
yeah.
Um, but they use the rage
Yeah, the rage disorder. It's
disorder.
the same thing basically, but I was actually reading on a little about that this morning. And they're saying with the intermittent explosive disorder that when that happens, when when the episode, if you will, happens, that it only lasts for about an hour at most, and then it's not a premeditated. It's just it just randomly happens, kind of like in bipolar disorder when you become manic and you have like a an outburst.
Mm-hmm.
It's not premeditated, but this was premeditated, because to me it was anyway, because he actually tried to pick up another little boy before he picked up Derek.
Oh, see, I didn't see anything about that.
I watched it on one thing, so it could be wrong, but that's what
And
I heard. He tried to pick up another boy, but he got Derek because Derek was easy and he was
and
little.
smaller.
Yeah, and it was
That
just easy
he
to take it out on him.
specifically chose him because he was smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, Rob and I thought it was premeditated too, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. Um, they were both in the in the summer camp together.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
And Eric was always riding his bike.
Mm-hmm.
I think Eric saw Derek's mom not follow him down to the end of the driveway because his baby brother was very, very colicky or upset that day. Mom says she was taking care of the baby, and Derek was just so excited to go to camp that day. He's like, "It's okay, mommy, I'll go by myself." And, being that
Oh.
it was 100 yards away, again, this is the early 90s.
Oh
Things
yeah.
were not like they are today.
No, it was like you can go out and wander off on your own, but you had to be home before the street lights came on, kind of
Streetlights came
deal.
on. Exactly. Nowadays, granted, I've got 5.5 acres out here. I could send my 16-year-old outside and just have a ball. That's what I love about having so much property. However, he knew not to leave this property. If he left this property, Mama would chew his behind. I'm sorry. I don't care if it's 100 yards or 200 yards. The only
Yeah.
distance my child goes out of my sight, whew, after that, bless his mama's heart. Poor Derek's mom's heart. Um, she gave a lot of insight to how she was feeling, knowing that they had caught a child that had actually done this. Because everybody at first swore up and down that it was an adult just because of
Yeah.
how violent and how graphic,
Yeah.
I guess you could say would be a good word, how graphic that the scene of the crime was.
Yeah.
Now, to bring up some good news about this case, like I said, that Derek had a little brother. His mom says that boy saved her life. There was many times where she had somebody planned to come over and babysit her son. She wanted somebody there because she wasn't going to be coming back. She said she would stand in the doorway and he'd come to the other doorway and just smile at her. And she couldn't do it to him.
Oh.
But his little brother knows all about the murder, and that the guy that did it was actually another kid. And like he knows the whole story for the most part. They left out the graphic stuff because his mother didn't even go to court, I believe, that day because she didn't want to know. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm confusing another case. Forgive me.
There's so
Not
many.
myself.
Sometimes it happens. So
Yeah, but Derek, like I said, his family has not let his memory go, as they should not. He
right.
was a young child and full of life. Derek was also on a T-ball team. And back in, I think it was, let's see. I'm not sure when it was actually put up, but they have now a T-ball field where the crime scene was. They bulldozed all the woods on it. There's now a T-ball field there with a statue, the statue that I sent to you, for Derek. And the one good thing about this case that I can say I'm actually kind of proud of our judicial system for once. As of January 22nd of 2020, his 10th straight time, Eric was denied parole.
Yeah, I think he's up for it again this year. I think I read something
every
about September.
2 years, they said, in the one that I watched. And then I kind of Googled this morning just to get a track number exactly of how many times he had gone up for parole. So as of 2020, January of 2020, he's still been denied parole. However, he's tried to state his claim that he's a different person. I'm sorry. Once you take the life of somebody else, no matter your age, to me, you don't deserve to get to have a life after that.
Because that child didn't get to.
My child's not able to go to college or go to prom or heck, graduate elementary school. So I don't think he should ever get out. I think he should be one of those that, honestly, the death penalty should have been put into play for him as he got older. That's just my opinion.
Like a retrial kind of thing when he became an adult kind of deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because his crime was not, I bonked him on the head and went on about my day. No. Right. Yes, you have your rage from, your mom taking these medications when she was pregnant with you. We understand that, but at the same time, that doesn't excuse your behavior. You physically went out there. You physically waited for that child to walk past you or get your attention in some way to where you took advantage of being an older kid.
Yeah, because that kind of goes back to like how you said earlier, how he was kind of displayed out there after everything had happened. He actually took shoes and put his left shoe above his right hand and his right shoe above his left hand and posed him. That's serial killer shit. That is serial killer shit. Like Black Dahlia kind of crap.
Exactly. To be honest with you, if he wouldn't have confessed, like I said, they weren't even looking at a child at that point. He confessed while they were talking about what he actually saw. Like, things started to get a little fishy, but if they had never talked to him, he came in willingly.
Yeah.
Him and his mom.
Because his guilt got to him and he was scared he was going to get caught. Because you're still a little kid and you still have some kind of child mentality that I could get in fucking trouble for this.
Exactly. And actually, I just remembered too, on one of the videos that I watched, one of Eric Smith's friends that he was pretty much, he didn't have many, but apparently this woman said he was at their house a lot. Okay. He was actually over for a sleepover one night. And she said that she had kind of thought it was Eric without having any evidence. So her fear started because he started asking her questions like, can they get fingerprints off of skin or off of clothes or something random like that?
He started asking a lot of CSI questions.
Exactly. Not only that, once he started asking her those kinds of questions, she's like, She was in contact, like I said, with the detectives. And one of the detectives had mentioned the banana thing, the smashed banana, where if it was an adult, they would have just tossed the banana to the side.
Right.
And left it. No, this was purposely squished, smashed, just annihilated.
Yeah.
So she said, this is a kid that doesn't like bananas. So what does this friend's mom do? She goes out and buys all the goodies for banana splits.
Oh, yeah. She's trying to set
her at her house. So while all the kids are at her house, she's invited them all. Hey, come make some banana splits. and comes to Eric, and Eric doesn't have any bananas in his bowl. She goes, "You don't want a banana, honey?" He goes, "Ugh, I don't like bananas." She's like, "Oh my God." She said she called the detective shortly after that and said, "Oh my gosh, he doesn't like bananas. I think he's the one that killed this kid. I'm scared now." Like, a grown adult was scared of this 13-year-old boy that was small for his age. You could
Yeah.
tell by the photographs. The thing that really bugged me the most about this case was his evil smirk he had sitting in the courtroom. In a lot of the pictures that they showed, there was no remorse at that
Right.
time. And I guess they say that's also part of the rage. They can go into a rage and then be perfectly fine.
Yeah, they
Like,
lack like
once it's over.
serotonin or something like that, and the
Exactly.
pleasure chemical in your brain. So it's just kind of
Mhm.
like, but he seemed to have relished in the fact that he had done that.
Exactly.
So
And he was kind of like, once he started helping the investigation more, because like I said in the beginning, he was just like, "Oh, I didn't see him. And then when he changed up his story and they started bringing him in more, he was more intrigued. He was more like, "Hey, I think if he would have never confessed, he would have continued."
oh yeah, absolutely. That's why I don't believe. I mean, it's sad to say, but I don't believe in the intermittent explosive disorder kind of deal. I mean, yeah, obviously he had deficiencies of some sort, whether or
Exactly.
not it was caused by his mother taking a seizure medication when she was pregnant or not. This child just he was into this, and like I said, he's displayed the child
Exactly.
out after the fact, and and this intermittent explosive disorder, it
You're
says
not
it only
thinking like
lasts for,
that.
yeah, it
You're
says it only,
raging, so you're not taking time to
yeah,
consider and think. So
it's
that
not
tells me that
premeditated.
he stayed there until he calmed down and then staged the body.
Yeah, it's not, yeah, they even say, if you read about it, it even says that the things that you do, yeah, a lot of them are, they're very out there, and they're not likely for a normal person to do, but it's nothing that's premeditated. You don't do premeditated things, and this
But
boy did
did
premeditated things.
hated things.
So it very much
Several
makes me
things.
think that this is kind of bullshit. So
Exactly. But you know, while I was looking for a case this last week,
mhm.
I had looked at a couple of other child killers too. Um, just because it makes me sick. I have to state this. It makes me sick that our judicial system, whether it be, I don't think it's the greatest, but then there's sometimes where it shows it could be.
Yeah.
And like I said, in this case, at least he's still in prison. He's
Yeah.
not out roaming the streets, because in a lot of the cases that I looked up, granted, they were from other countries. The children that have killed have been released, had their names
Yeah.
changed. You can't find anything on them other than their case from when they were younger. Anything after that, there's nothing. There was one that I was kind of researching. These two little boys, I say little boys, they were 10, so they were little
Yeah, at the
boys
time.
at the time. In I believe it was the UK, had grabbed a little boy from
Oh
the
yeah, at the
shopping mall.
mall. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
His mom
God.
literally turned around, and within like seconds,
Yeah.
he was gone. They had taken him and murdered him, tortured him, just god awful things. And
Yeah, that one
then
went international too. Like we knew
it
about that
did
over here because it was so horrific and so unlikely for that to
be
you didn't hear
children.
about that. Yeah, like I remember that one.
So with that one, the two of them, I don't remember which was which, because like I said, I didn't get too much details into it. One of them got out, and for the better, has not committed any more crimes.
Good.
However, the other one had been arrested at least 3 or 4 times
Oh
since he
shit.
was released. And I believe at that time, like I said, they were 10 at the time of the murder. I believe they were released by the time they were 18 or 21.
Okay.
Just before adulthood, basically.
Right.
So they spent the last few years of their adolescence in that life, in the prison life. Like,
Oh.
what makes me sick is you still can't find anything on him.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, man. So
Because
that
they
makes it
changed
hard
his
to
name. So
figure
you don't
out.
know and you can't figure out what his name is, but they tell you that he is out and he's been convicted of multiple crimes since then.
Shit.
That's the part that makes me sick. And like I said, there's multiple ones of them that have gotten away with murder.
Yeah. And
Yes,
that's,
they spend a little bit of time in like a juvie situation, but by the time they're 16 to 18, I think is when they start looking at them like, oh, you're good, and trying to
yeah.
get them out the door.
And that's the thing too, is with being incarcerated, even as a child, you still continue to be exposed to
Get that?
abuse or to be an abuser. So for me, I mean, like you said, I'm glad he's still incarcerated, because
Yeah.
he's 41 now. He went in when he was about 14. He's 41 now. So he's been in for almost 30 years. And the way
Dude.
he looks, what had happened, his mental capacity, he has been victimized over and
Oh,
over again.
yes.
So
Oh, yeah.
you're kind of locked. And I worked in a prison for a short time. So it's like you're locked in that mentality of being in a prison and how to conduct yourself and how to do things. I'm not saying that for everybody who's been incarcerated.
No,
That's
but the
not true at all.
majority.
But a majority. So I mean, if he gets out now, I don't believe at all that I think
I
it would
don't
be
either,
likely that he would reoffend, honestly. I mean, I think it's a
honestly.
high probability that he would reoffend.
And with that being said, a lot of the reason why his probation has been denied so many times, Derek's family was asked to speak at one of the parole hearings. They declined to actually speak. What they did is they sent a letter and home videos of little Derek playing t-ball, being
Oh.
happy, spending time with his family. And they said no better person could speak on his behalf except for him. So they let him speak on his own behalf to the parole board in a way. Look at this young life that was just snuffed out, literally because somebody else was being bullied. I'm sorry, being bullied isn't enough justification for taking somebody else's life.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. And oh man, this case just fucking sucks.
It does, because I feel bad. I do feel bad in the sense that Eric really had no help at home.
No, he had quite the opposite of it. It was contributing to his problems.
Exactly. He saw his stepfather taking outrage on him, and I'm sure on mom too. If he's
Oh
doing that to
yeah.
the kids, there's no way an abusive person like that is only doing it to certain people in the family. And
Exactly.
even if they are, it's different versions for different people. Like I was
Yes.
telling you before, I see that pattern a lot in that type of situations. This person will get the brunt of your anger. This person will get that. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
split it out so that you can always have a pick of a victim, if you will.
Something needs to happen to. Did anything ever happen to the dad? Because he it came out from the daughter, and then he even admitted
I
in
didn't
court that
really
he was kind of
focus
that
on
way.
that. Um, uh, I didn't find much on it other than the daughter stating that, yes, he had molested me. I don't know if he was actually convicted of it or anything of that nature.
They probably did that statute of limitation bullshit. Like that angers me. I know it's a totally different topic, but that angers me so much. The statute of limitations is, I mean, I don't know if it's that way in every single state, but I know that in California, you have a 10-year limit to say something, or it's, oh, well, you took too long to say something. What do you want us to do about it now? Like, too late now. It's like, you don't understand. Like, victims don't always have the courage to say something because you're not going to be believed. You've got to prove it, or they don't want that labeled. you know, that you're a victim. There's many different reasons why you wouldn't speak up.
And there's also that the victims could tell somebody about it. And when they do, they're not believed, but yet the other family members deny it ever happened because that person has memory problems. So we're just going to act like it never happened.
Yeah.
Eventually, that's going to come back and bite you in the rear end like it did myself, because I was manipulated. Not going to lie. Manipulated and basically told to lie when they knew something was going to be brought up about it.
Wow. Wow.
That was pretty much the last straw for me.
That's crazy.
At 35 years old, I was called and told to say something didn't happen that I know did happen.
Jeez Louise. See, when I was 9, I was trigger warning to some, I was sexually assaulted by a 19-year-old that lived across the street. And my mother, I don't remember how much long before that, my mom was actually kidnapped and raped by 2 men.
Oh, wow.
And they held her for I think a couple of days. And so then when that happened to me, I was like, well, I should be able to tell her, because I remember the police coming to our house and looking at her clothing and talking to her.
So she can help you.
Yeah. And I remember I told her, and she just all nonchalant, she's like, well, it's already happened. What do you want me to do about it? And I was just like, oh, okay, cool. And just went on. I just had to go on my merry way about it. It was because she didn't care. So she's like, whatever, it happened. And I'm just like, shouldn't we call the cops or something? Like, and then come to find out the guy across, he was doing it to other girls on the street too. And nobody, like, we all talked about it amongst each other, but nobody would do anything about it. So, and then come to find out this kid already had a parole officer. Because his parole officer stopped me one day when I was walking down the street, and my mom saw him, and she whipped her head out the door, and she's like, why the hell are you talking to my kid? And he goes, well, I'm looking for so-and-so. And she's like, oh, he lives in that house, like, right across from us. And he was like, oh, okay, well, I'm his parole officer. And it was like, doesn't that mean that's a cop? Isn't that a cop? Like shouldn't we tell him? And like, no, it was just totally brushed off like it was nothing. And I know if I say something to this day, it's, well, why didn't you tell me? Because that's what my mom does. She just kind of blows it off. But I digress.
We'll leave that one alone for me.
So it sucks because,
but we have a lot in common. Let's put it that way. We have a very lot in common.
Yeah, and it sucks because, you know, statute of limitations, you know, it's a bunch of bullshit. Because if I knew who this guy was to this day, like if I knew if he was even alive or dead, oh, sure as shit, I would make all kinds of ruckus happen. Because who knows how long he continued to do this for?
Exactly.
And if he's still even doing this.
Yeah, the scary part about my situation, because you know my story.
Yeah.
And maybe someday I'll be brave enough to say it on a podcast. But for the most part, the person that affected me the most in my life, he was a truck driver.
Oh, no shit. You know what?
Many years.
I'm actually not surprised. I'm sorry, not sorry, but.
And another thing, he has memory problems.
Oh, shit. So he says.
No, he really does.
Oh, okay.
Straight up.
Okay.
Yeah, he was cracked in the head one too many times. I wish it would have cracked one more time. But Desiree, be nice.
Yeah. Jeez. No, you don't have to be nice, because fuck that guy. You don't have to be nice. He deserves no ounce of your kindness.
Oh, so. I know. But that's the part of me for being basically brainwashed my whole life to forget about that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez. So this guy, who knows how if the dad did this to anyone else? Who knows if he did this to the boy or not? Oh shit. And you know,
like I said, Eric denied it at first.
Yeah.
He straight up denied it. And then there was a couple of times where he was talking, I guess, with the parole board, because it was once he was older.
Yeah.
I think he was in early 2000s is when he kind of said, yes, there was mental and physical abuse in the home, but I was never molested. Because I think that was after his sister had come out with the molestation
But
charges
it
on
kind of
the
makes you
stepdad.
think though, why would he sodomize another child with a stick? That's what
Thank
makes me
you.
think like
He may not have. This is the other thing. He may have witnessed
oh.
sister's molestation. He may
Oh.
not have been molested for say himself, but he saw enough to intrigue him.
Okay.
But at the same time, he said he was trying to stab him in the heart. Why would you go through somebody's behind to go to their heart?
Yeah, I don't know.
I get it. You're a little slow and you're 13, but
a lot of the things you
hello.
were doing are very planned out and adult-like stuff.
Yes.
And it just makes, oh God, this one is just so confusing and it's so rough. This one's a very rough topic.
It's a rough topic just because of how gruesome it was, and that
Yeah.
it was not just one family torn apart, but in all honesty, two families torn apart in the long run. But honestly, I don't see Eric's case being any different. Even if it wouldn't have been Derek that he had gotten a hold of, he would have eventually been in prison for something.
Yeah, and who knows if he would have done it to another child or not.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. But hopefully next week's case isn't so touchy.
I don't know. I got a couple in mind. I'm not
I know we've been
set
talking
on one yet. Not set exactly on one yet, but
Yeah.
I am very much interested in covering a couple of them. So we'll see what happens. You guys won't know until next weekend. If you guys follow us on our Instagram page at The Devil Made Me Do It podcast, you will get clues from Miss Dizzy here on what the topic will be. Some dizzy doozies. And you guys can take a guess, and if you guess, then you will get sent a prize.
Yes, please interact with me. I feel so lonely sometimes. I do love the likes and the thumbs ups and stuff, but
yeah,
give me a clue. Throw it out there.
Nothing's a wrong answer. That one, though. Yeah, don't worry about if it's wrong. But I did like the Goonies because
I did like that too. I felt bad because I had posted it on somebody else's page, and they're more on movies, and I guess they just assumed it was the movie. And I'm like, I'm sorry, this is for our true crime podcast, but please guess again.
Yeah, no, but I could totally see the Goonies though. Like
I could.
Because they were all on bikes.
Totally could.
I was like, oh shit, that would have been good if we were doing movies.
Right.
That's that up for it.
But yeah, it was.
But you guys can also check us out on Facebook, on YouTube at The Devil Made Me Do It podcast. You can check us out on almost any audio platform right now. We are on Iheart Radio, currently waiting for Pandora. Pandora takes a little bit longer to get on the other ones. We're on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, BuzzSprout. There's so many to list, but basically wherever you listen to your audio podcast, you can catch us. And if you guys are so inclined to become a Patreon supporter, you guys can check us out at The Devil Made Me Do It podcast on Patreon, where we offer a lot of case files, photos. Eventually, we're going to do some bonus videos to add on there as content. There's lots of giveaways, and some of the tiers you also get added into our private Facebook group so that we can all talk amongst each others. And I think that wraps it up for this weekend.
I do. One last thing though, on my personal TikTok page, because I don't have one for The Devil Made Me Do It yet. I do post everything I post on Instagram. I've made TikToks for it. So there's TikTok, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's even Snapchat that I can send stuff to. So feel free to message us on any of those. Like I said, though, most of them are my personal one, but I have no problems putting this on there because I really got nothing going on. Teenage boy that doesn't like his picture taken. Every now and then, like yesterday, I can get him to take a picture with Mom.
It's so crazy how much he looks like you and Rob, but I think he's starting to look a lot more like Rob. Not gonna lie. I think he started to look, I don't know, because I thought it was Rob in the picture with you yesterday, and I realized how long the hair was. I was like, oh, no, that's not Rob. So
now, I don't know if you remember correctly, but Rob's my leprechaun. He's got red and blonde in his goatee, where Robbie is taking after my Cajun side.
Yeah, he's got the darker hair.
He's
The
got the
long,
dark
darker, wavy hair.
He's got the dark facial hair. But yeah, when we start, I'm going to be taking pictures here soon to be loaded
Yay!
up.
I'm
And
excited to see how that comes out.
oh, I am too, because the photographer's like, heck yeah, we'll even do some family photos for you while I'm there. I'm like,
Oh,
shoot, girl, come on with it then.
nice. I love it.
And I need to get a new family portrait from my dad, because bless his heart, he told me the other day the only picture he has right now on his dresser is Rob and I. Remember the pictures we had back at the core where I was wearing that cool blue shirt?
Yeah.
That's the picture. So our
Oh,
engagement
shit.
photos
Oh, my God. That was
from
a million years ago.
girlfriend, 17, almost 18 years
Oh, my
now.
God. Yeah. We were all still like coming out of our teens at that point. My God.
I was 19 when
Yeah.
he and I met, and we got married when I was 20.
Shit. So long ago. So fucking long ago.
It's crazy.
It
It's
is.
crazy. But, it's funny that as crazy as it is, I am so glad I went to the core when I did. Because I was dreading it. I was like, no, I don't want to go work hard. What? No.
I
I
was
work at a
excited.
grocery
I was
store.
like,
I
I'm
could
getting
run
the
this
fuck out
whole
of my
store.
house.
And I was like, no, I'm out. And I was done. And I was like, I'm so glad I did it. Because he was actually a second chancer. He had been up
Oh,
there
yeah, that's right. I
a
forgot
couple
he got
years
kicked out once
before.
already.
He had been there before. So it was meant to be, because he came back right at the time I got out of my cast.
Oh, yeah, I
I'm sure you
remember when you slipped
that.
on that rock. When you slipped on a rock and broke your leg or some shit out in the river?
Jarrell and Marcus had to carry me
That's
across the creek.
right. I fucking
And
forgot
Jarrell
about
went with
that.
me to the hospital and sat there all day with me getting cast and x-rayed. And oh, I felt like the biggest klutz. And all I did was step off a rock.
Yeah, I
But
remember
because it's slick out there,
yeah, and the boots
it
they
just
give us.
popped, and I was like, it's broke. It's broke. I know this feeling. It's broke. It's broke.
Yeah, because I messed up my back at that time, and we
We're
were
both in the
dorm
kitchen.
mates. Yeah, and like I
And we were
remember
both in the kitchen, so yeah.
Yeah, you were like way on one side of the room, and then there was two beds between us, and then I was on the other side, and I was like
you want to
coast
move
all the
me?
time. And I remember
You
we'd sit
want
there
to
and
move
watch
me?
TV all day long. It's like, God, when are they
Well,
coming around with lunch?
oh goodness. Well, at the core, we'd get up in the mornings at 30, get breakfast for everybody and get their lunches made.
Yep.
Shoot, I'd make me an extra omelet and stuff in the microwave.
Yeah, I
Everybody
was always hooking
gone.
myself up with an extra
And after I
sandwich or a
cleaned up the
cookie.
kitchen, and I'd munch on that. Because, weekends were the best when we did the omelets, man.
Oh yeah, I remember having to cook so much. I loved it though. I loved
I
it. That's
did
probably why I
love
stayed
it.
into it.
I wish I would have stayed in the kitchen area, but other people made it more difficult for me.
Yeah,
I'm sure
that's
you
why
remember those people.
I got run out of that kitchen because I was like, this is bullshit. I'm not going back in there. That and like the one chick that was like super. I know, guys, it's totally off topic. We're
Totally off
shit.
topic, guys.
We've got free
Sorry.
time for a couple minutes, so shut up. But
Exactly.
one of
20-year-old friends can reminisce once in a
yeah,
while.
one of the cooks in there, she actually got strung out on meth. And she was like stealing stuff in front of us. Like she was loading up her van with like
Yep.
the big ass stock pots full of shit. And then her parents put her in rehab. And then yeah, it got bad. I was like, how did they let her stay here for so damn long? Like they all knew
Exactly.
she was drugged up. Like I don't know.
And it's funny how they kept certain folks and not others.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we'll keep that to a minimum.
Yeah.
Because maybe my son will go up there someday. I know it sounds funny, but I think he would benefit from it so much. Especially, he's got great work ethic, even though he really has never had a job or anything like that. Just put it this way: how many 16-year-old boys do you know that actually do dishes on the daily, their own laundry? Granted, sometimes it could go a little sooner than he likes to.
They're boys.
But he's a great kid. I'm so looking forward for him. He's finally getting to go visit his soulmate. That's what they like to be called. Um, and well, they had come down before. His soulmate and their mother had come down before, and on the way to visit family and whatnot, he visited for a few hours and, had a fun time. But this one's kind of the second big trip he's ever done without me. And I'm like,
my baby, don't go.
my baby, no. He's going to fly an airplane all by himself.
Don't forget, stranger danger. Carry a whistle.
Right. Well, either that or I think he's discussed about maybe taking the Greyhound back home. And I'm like, bro, that's a little.
Oh, you know what?
Mom
That's a
anxiety.
story I'll do next week on
what?
the Greyhound bus.
There's so many experiences that.
I remember I took the Greyhound from here all the way up to Humboldt County. That was a 17-hour trip. But you know what?
Before I went from California, or before I went to the Corps, I was working at the grocery store, and we had family that lived in Sacramento. Okay. So I went down with my family at the time to visit family, and my cousin's like, "You ain't working for a week? Stay with me." I was like, "All right, cuz." Stayed with her, mind you, 17, 18 years old, not quite there, but getting there. And she's like, "Yeah, stay with me." I said, "But how am I going to get back home?" And she goes, "You can take the Greyhound."
Yikes.
So a week rolls around and my bus is scheduled to depart. I'm sitting in the Greyhound station waiting and waiting and waiting. And they finally load us up. I get down to Oakland. So mind you, I started off in Sacramento. They bring me down to Oakland.
Yeah. No, I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. I lived about 45 minutes from Oakland. I know all about Oakland.
Oakland is not a safe place for a 17, 18-year-old, at the time, Mormon girl.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
By herself.
It's not safe, period. Especially right now. They've been doing riots and all kinds of crap up there lately.
I was sitting in the bus station waiting and waiting and waiting. And I was like, when is my bus going to come? So I finally get up the nerve after sitting there for like 4 hours, like a ding dong. I'm like, is my bus coming? And she goes, "What bus is yours?" I said, "I'm going to Northern California. I'm going up to Crescent City." She goes, "Oh, honey, the 101's down," and washed out.
It flooded out.
And this was back before I had a cell phone.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think any of us really had a cell phone back then. That was a privilege to have a cell phone.
That's when you get the pay phone and dial the 1-800 number for your house.
Yeah, or you got the calling cards and shit.
Well, no, this one, I don't know how they did it, but apparently where we lived in Northern California, you had a 1-800 number you could call, and the 1-800 number would call your family for free.
Okay.
So it was something like that, like an operator got you on the line with somebody from your household.
Oh, okay.
So here I am waiting, called, and I'm like, I'm sitting in Oakland. And they go, "Wait a minute, you're supposed to be coming north." I said, "Tell me about it." Now, mind you, at the time I had family in Vacaville, kind of in between Oakland and Sacramento. So I had one aunt come pick me up for the night. And then the next morning, the other aunt came back and picked me up. And I went and stayed with them for a few nights while waiting for the 101 to be clear. Oh, memories, experiences, times when I thought I was gonna die.
Oh my gosh. Everything has advanced so much in the past 20 years. It's ridiculous. My God.
It is.
20 or 23, 23 years, 20 years? Almost something like that. I don't know. Yeah. Too long ago for me to remember. I'm getting too old.
I hear you.
Jesus. All right, guys. Well, that's our time for this week. Appreciate you guys listening. Again, check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, and pretty much any audio podcast that you listen to. We're pretty much on right now, except for Pandora. Just wait for that. But if you guys check out our Instagram page, you get some clues throughout the week for what Saturday topic is going to be. So make sure you guys go over there and give a guess to what the clues are. And
I want to give prizes away. Come on,
y'all. We got presents.
Fun.
Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And
Thank y'all.
we'll see you guys next Saturday morning. So bye.
Bye.